Hi everyone, my name's Leslie Wubble, and I've been a product manager for 3 years, and I ran my own startup for 2 years. So today I'm going to show you how to create your React app. So this is a pretty basic step to just getting started to building your own application, if it's on the web, or it might be a desktop application, or even kind of teaching you like, okay, how do I set up like a mobile application with some like React Native, for example. So let me go over React first. Basically, React has a huge benefit of managing what's known as state in the browser. So when you kind of add something, you click plus and that icon updates, or you like something. Let's say you like something on Instagram and it goes from an empty heart to a filled heart. That's a change in state, 1, 0, right? And React is really great at creating components and managing snippets of code throughout a web application like Instagram, for example. And I'm going to show you how to set one up now. So let's get started. So first thing you're going to need is to install Node.js. If you haven't installed Node.js, you won't be able to run React. That's because JavaScript code is using the Node.js, the Chrome engine within it to compile and execute that code anytime you're in the browser. Node.js is behind that. And you're going to need it locally to run and run the server locally there. So I'm not going to install it here for you. There's many other videos like that, but you can check if you have Node by typing in node-v. Another way to install Node.js is use something called Chocolatey. Let me just share my screen here really quick. Chocolatey is a package manager for Windows. I really recommend it. I think it's a great package for Windows that came out at last decade, and you can just easily type in a command like this: cho install Node.js, and it should just start updating immediately. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to clear. Oh, made my command line red. Huh. But that's some of the basics there. So first thing you need to do is just install the React app globally, right? So we're just going to do npm install -g create React app. And then globally on the computer, we'll install the React app library, and we'll be able to use the npx command. It might take a few minutes, so just be patient. All right. And it's giving me some warnings about some libraries, probably because I am on an older version, but I added all the MX here. This should work. Yep, gives me 10.9. npx create -react -app. And then this is where you put in the name. So my React app here, or you could just call it whatever you want. Apple, orange juice. It really won't matter what you name your app. I'm going to call my app EHC converts. Maybe we'll do a project later. Convert to JPEG or something. GMP, PNG. Let's just do PNG. Let's call the app that. Okay. And then whatever you type in, that will create a folder. All right. Cannot create because, yeah, that's right. I cannot have capital letters. So we just say convert app, do a dash here. Actually, I'm going to create my app inside of the folder here. So I'm going to do ls to list out my directory. And then I'm going to do cd, this is change directory, to my how to create React app. And then I hit tab to autofill. But I'm going to just hit the up arrow to go back to my command that I typed out. And then just name this back to convert app. Perfect. So now npx, the React library, should go ahead and install all the React libraries necessary and start creating our React app. I'm just going to open this up on the left-hand side while that's going, and you can see it's the convert apps there. This is the package.json, and it's just installing the folder structure, the node modules, and source file, and the public file folder, folders, by the way, sorry. And then the package.json is kind of like your library install list of like, what did you install for this application. Geez, it takes a very long time. So all it's doing right now is installing the node modules. These are kind of all the libraries behind creating the React app. You can just like open these up and see that they're just like tons of JavaScript code. This is what pretty much all the frameworks, just using library after library to do anything. And yeah, pretty cool. All right, so just to do that, here we are, and it should say happy hacking at the end of it. It'll give you some simple commands. So npm starts the development server. Run file will take your app and then compile that into static files. So they're faster to load on the server. So when they go to production on the cloud, people can load your application faster when you build it and then deploy it. And then npm test is the testing, and some more code we can learn how to run there. And then npm run inject just removes this and copies the dependencies. And yeah, it just kind of like moves you out of React basically. All right, so we're going to just do npm start like it says. And what that does, what happened here? Very important. So when you see this code emt open, it says there's no package JSON. So you can't start the React app without being at the level of where this is. So right now I am in the how to create the React app folder, but you need to cd into convert into your app, right? Ugh, it's not autofilling. There we go. CD and then change into the directory. So now I'm inside, then I have access. So now this will work. I used to, when I started learning React, I used to get that a lot, and I'd like forget, like, oh yeah, I have to be in the folder to run the app. Yeah. So it's starting the development server right now, and it will show you this. It says localhost 3000. And then this is like on your network access. So if you're like on another computer, you would access this IP address from like a phone or a laptop, for example, in another room or something. So if you had like another developer in the room. So all you need to do is simply, it'll open it up automatically for you, but you go to your browser and you just type in localhost 3000 like this, and then you'll see this kind of spinning icon. So now let's talk about editing the React app a little bit. So on the left-hand side, you'll see app.js. And right here, what you see is what we call a React function. So in JavaScript, you have something called a function. And then here is app, and then the parentheses is where you pass in the parameters. And then this curly bracket encapsulates what is called, it's best to explain as like JSX syntax. So JSX syntax is HTML, but with these attributes that are used inside of it to add in CSS, other function calls like onClick and things like that. So if we want to simply edit, get rid of this, the amazing thing about React is that it dynamically updates. So let me just show you what I mean. So if I get rid of everything in between here, and then save it, it will update right there without an issue. So let's go back to the folder system really quick and go talk about some more basics. So you'll see there's app.css. These are classes that are being called in the attributes here. So if we have, let's see, .app, it's giving center align. So that's why we're seeing that this is centered aligned on the right here. It's centered, right? And then, so you would just like edit the CSS, and if it's referencing it, you would have to import it from the top here. There's a lot easier ways to change the CSS, obviously. Like Tailwind CSS makes it really great, but I think that's the video for another time. Let's go to index.js for a minute. So index.js is basically what React is using to load the React app. So if you see app here, for example, that is actually your function, function being exported, right? So I have app.js over here, and we have export default app, and it's being imported here to render the React app through what's called the React DOM, basically. It's just kind of like the browser environment. Sorry, I'm a little lightheaded today, so let me just see what DOM stands for. Yep, okay, document object model. It's just how HTML is rendered within the browser, basically this structure, this hierarchy. And the React code, or you might say React engine, is using this document.getID and root and using that in like HTML and getting that rendered onto basically the web page, right? So if we go inspect this really quick, you see we have this HTML here, you have a head, and then you'll have kind of the React app title here. You'll have the styling injected here. You can go down to this right here. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You see how div ID equals root? That matches back to get element by ID root, right? So we can completely break it if we just do something like this, right? Nothing. We get this kind of runtime error with the React app. It just completely just doesn't work. But if we go back, Control Z really quick, I do root, it'll come right back. So that's what React is doing, is that it's taking the DOM and this JavaScript code is created and refreshing the DOM every time something has changed in the app. Not the entire app, but components of that app. So like if I have a list of items and I edit one item, that component will only update, but the rest of the list remains. So it's only rendering, updating parts of it. There's more videos that can explain it that I'll link below, or there's some visuals I think I could design to kind of help explain it, but that's kind of how I understand it works. Yeah, so that pretty much comes to the basics. Let's start editing our React app. Yeah, I should also explain these folders on the left here. So you have these node modules. These are all the libraries you installed to run the React app. Public is where images live. Here's the HTML. I was looking for this. I was like, where did they put it? It's right here. So you can see this is a regular HTML file. You have the header section, and then you have the body section, and that div ID root. This is what's needed to load stuff in from the React app, right? And your favicon is going to be in the public folder, and then your source files where your React components will live inside of, and other React functions. So we're going to build a lot more stuff there. All right, so let's go back to the app.js. All right, and what we can do is just simply simplify this whole lot. Let's just get rid of everything inside. And you can just do like a simple like hello world here, like this. and then it rendered the hello world. It's great. And then, so after you learn React and you build some components with it, the best thing you can do is go onto a framework that handles all this like routing logic with web pages and stuff. I really recommend React Next.js. Next.js framework. It's really well supported. Its tutorials are easy to understand. Vue is another React framework that makes it really easy to use. I haven't had experience with this yet, but you know, once you kind of learn React once, you can go ahead and learn other frameworks, things like that. And then Angular.js is also another framework that's very popular with a lot of companies here too. So you could always, oh, okay, they moved to Angular.io, Angular.dev, it looks like. And it's a very similar, it's just another way to like handle the logic of the routing and the file system, because as you can see that a lot of things change, and that kind of makes it, I think, a tad bit annoying. But once you learn a framework, or once a company adopts a framework, it kind of becomes easier to standardize things, and things are not so much a mess across the whole system. So I think in the next video we're going to do like how to deploy your React app on Netlify or Versatile. So yeah.